With Part 8 JOJOLian finally coming to an end in Chapter 110, series creator Hidehiko Araki has confirmed the continuation of JoJo's bizarre adventure, under the new tentative title JOJOLands, meaning the name could be subject to change in the future. I briefly discussed this announcement in my final JOJOLian chapter review, but I also wanted to dedicate a separate video to the topic for those not fully caught up to JOJOLian and don't want to be spoiled on the final chapter. So yes, JoJo's bizarre adventure will be continuing in a presumable Part 9, although the new title has not yet been referred to directly as the 9th part. All Araki has said following the end of JOJOLian is thank you for JOJOLian for 10 years. Let's take a break and see you all at the new JOJOLands, tentative. So this was of course amazing news to hear, as for a while leading up to JOJOLian's end, it seemed to become more uncertain if we would be getting another part of JoJo, considering Araki's age and how long JOJOLian was getting. And even though it was mostly expected, it's still great to hear directly from Araki that he will be continuing JoJo. So yes, Part 9 is confirmed. It's amazing, but we still don't really know anything about this new series other than its tentative title JOJOLands, and that it will be beginning after Araki takes a short break, which is fine as it was only just announced a few days ago, and I'm sure more information will come out leading up to its serialization. But with this information, we can still make some pretty realistic predictions for Araki's next work. So first and foremost, it is extremely likely, almost obvious, that JOJOLands will be the 9th part of JoJo, and for a few reasons. Firstly, Araki has stated before in an interview that he has thought about Part 9 and has a rough outline of the story up until the 9th part. And secondly, with how the alternate universe of JoJo has been written with Parts 7 and 8, and especially at the end of Part 8, it's clear there is more Araki wants to do with the world and certain story elements that have been left unclear that seem likely to return in a future part. Similarly to how the original universe, Araki would introduce important story elements that would be passed down throughout the parts, and we would learn more about them as the story continued, like the stone mask and the stand arrows. So in relation to the alternate universe, it's entirely possible that Part 9 will elaborate on things like the Higashikata family curse, the origin of the Rokakaka fruit, the spin, and even the walleyes. I had actually made a video discussing my predictions for Part 9 3 years ago, and surprisingly, I'm still pretty confident in my predictions, although after seeing how Part 8 is ended and how things have changed in the past 3 years, I think I could slightly update that video here. So we've covered the announcement that Part 9 or JOJOLands is confirmed, but now I would like to discuss 3 major topics and predictions: who the main JoJo will be, the significance of the name JOJOLands, and when and where the part will take place. Further discussion involves Part 8 spoilers, so beware, I will be mentioning character deaths and the family tree up to the end of the part to fully discuss potential future JoJos. But if you're not caught up to Part 8 and would like to skip the spoilers section, there's a timestamp on screen right now to where I will be discussing when I think JOJOLands will begin serialization. So in my last Part 9 video, I said that following the theme of the alternate universe, I believe the main JoJo of Part 9 will be a returning JoJo from the original universe, being an alternate Jolene or Giorno, as the last 2 JoJos were an alternate Jonathan and Josuke, so it only makes sense that the trend continues. As for why I think an alternate Jotaro and Joseph are more unlikely is because those characters, or at least alternate versions of them, already exist and we've already been introduced to them, which is something that has never happened in JoJo, being a future JoJo appearing in a part before their leading part. Alternate Jotaro was fulfilled by characters Kira Yoshikage and Kei Nijimura, being the children of Holly Joestar and both having rebellious natures, and Joseph Joestar appears at the very end of Part 8, and although many have theorized that Joseph's appearance may be a setup to his lead in Part 9, it seems very unlikely, as we already did see a good bit of his character and his stand, as well as the narration fully detailed his early life. And considering main JoJos are always in their mid to late teens, it wouldn't make sense for Araki to tell us this character's life only to retell it in a later part. So when I say I think the next JoJo will be Jolene or Giorno, that doesn't mean they will be the exact same character. I expect the new JoJo to be completely different from the past, only sharing the same name and minor callbacks to their original, similar to Johnny and Josuke from Part 8. And hey Araki, I'm just saying, if you want to do the twins idea, twin JoJos, imagine if we had Jolene and Giorno's personality in 2 twins to end the part, and then we would have all of the original JoJos recreated for the finale of the series. Just saying, Araki, that'd be pretty cool. Although that is assuming that Part 9 will be the last part, which I think is fair. So those are still my predictions for Part 9, which are pretty much the same as they were 3 years ago. But now that Part 8 has ended, we can take a look at the family tree in its most current state and try to find a branch to the future. As it stands right now, considering Araki isn't hiding anything from us, the only possible candidates for a future JoJo, assuming we are going to be moving forward in time, would be a descendant of either Josuke or George Joestar. Josuke Higashikata, of course being the most recently seen family member alive, seems likely, although in order for his descendant to be the next JoJo, we would need to go pretty far in the future, somewhere around the years 2030 to 2040, and that's assuming Josuke has a child shortly after Part 8, somewhere in his 20s. And to me, this seems unlikely. For one, Araki genuinely doesn't go far into the future. The furthest he's ever skipped was 2011 for part 6, as part 6 was written in the years 2000 to 2003, so around like a 10-year skip. And considering the rapid advancements in the modern age, from self-driving cars to AI, Araki would need to incorporate more technology and sci-fi elements into a part taking place in the year 2030 and beyond to be semi-realistic. And considering Araki generally draws inspiration from the real world and real things that exist, I'm not sure that's something he would do going really sci-fi. And secondly, never as a new part began with the main JoJo directly being the son or daughter of the previous part's main JoJo. There's always a gap in between those descendants, like Joseph and Josuke being separated by Jotaro, and Jotaro and Jolene being separated by Giorno. I'm not saying it's impossible, just more unlikely. So the only other option would be a descendant of one of the siblings of Joseph Joestar, which seems more likely as Araki kinda just created 3 unnamed characters who all have the Joestar birthmark, which seems like a nice contingency plan for future parts. And in the final chapter of JoJolian, Araki had drawn the family tree again, bringing attention to those 3 unknown siblings, just kind of acknowledging their existence. And this unknown side of the family tree would also give Araki a lot more freedom in the time period, as it could take place in modern day, like 2022, probably when the part will begin serialization, maybe shortly after JoJolian, like 2012, 2015 something, or something unique like a story occurring simultaneously with JoJolian in 2011. And even getting off of the idea that we have to go forward, this family tree also gives Araki the opportunity to do something in between Steel Ball Run and JoJolian that might give more elaboration to some of the story elements in JoJolian, like the Walleyes, so somewhere around the year 2000 is also entirely possible. As for the name JoJoLands, although it's tentative, it still has significance as it was chosen by Araki and may end up even being the official name. Initially, it of course reminded me of JoJolian and alludes to the 2 parts being heavily connected due to the similar naming schemes. The Leon suffix in JoJolian was said by Araki to represent the existence of Josuke in the world as a blessed one, as his mere existence is somewhat of a miracle, so I thought JoJolian was an appropriate name for a part about that character. But as for JoJoLands, the meaning of the suffix could be cryptic, but it initially brings my attention to the supernatural lands in the alternate universe, like the Devil's Palms, the Walleyes, and the enchanted grounds of the Higashikata Orchard, as the part could delve into the origins of these landmarks or future developments. Alternatively, in the final chapters of JoJolian, the lands of New Guinea where the Rokakaka originated were mentioned multiple times, which may allude to Part 9's setting somewhere more tropical or indigenous. Maybe like an Indiana Jones-esque adventure exploring uncharted lands, which could reincorporate the Rokakaka and its powers into the next part. And I don't know about you guys, but after Part 8, I definitely want more of that road trip style adventure like Part 3 and Part 5 had, where there's a lot of exploration and new scenery, because I love Morio, but I definitely thought the setting of JoJolian was its weakest part. As really in Part 8, we were only in Morio for like a third of the part, otherwise we were on the outskirts or just in the Higashikata estate for honestly what felt like half the part. So those are my predictions for Part 9, JoJoLands, with the limited information we have so far, but no matter who the main JoJo is or what the setting is, I'm just happy we're getting more JoJo. And lastly, to give you guys an idea of when we can actually expect JoJoLands, so Araki of course said he is taking a break, but I wouldn't expect this break to be more than 6 months max. I only say this because Araki hasn't been known to take long breaks in the past, and is very healthy and still enjoys writing his manga very much. The longest break Araki has taken before was in between parts 6 and 7, which was about 9 months, and in between those parts, I'm sure Araki was still doing quite a bit of work, as he needed to think of a way to continue the series after part 6, and was conceptualizing this alternate Steel Ball Run universe, as well as he was transitioning his manga from weekly to monthly, so he may have needed to do plans and change his schedule up and solve other logistical issues. But for part 9, I'm sure it will still be an Ultra Jump, the same magazine as JoJolian, and will be set in the same universe, so it wouldn't require as much planning as say part 7. But honestly man, even if Araki wanted to take a long break, he has more than deserved it and should do whatever he feels is best for his health and his work. But for now, those are my thoughts on the upcoming part 9, and I look forward to hearing more news about JoJoLands and keeping you guys updated along the way. Let me know down below in the comments what your guys' thoughts on this JoJoLands part 9 is so far. I'm sure some of you guys have some wicked theories about a future part of JoJo, so I'm sure those will be fun to read, as well as like the video, subscribe for more, as I am so excited to start doing JoJo part 9 monthly chapter reviews. It's going to be so hype. But yeah, I'll of course keep you guys updated along the way. Thanks for watching. I'm out. Peace.